This forecast brought to you by Bar 32 Chocolate, Rhythm and Spirits, Cuzzy's Pizzeria and Kitchen, and Tennessee Avenue Beer Hall. Check out all 4 great locations conveniently located on Tennessee Avenue in Atlantic City.
I think it's obvious that it's advisories galore out there this afternoon ahead of our storm arriving over the next couple hours in the purple shaded areas on the other side of the Delaware River for our friends out in Westchester, Media, Norristown, Doylestown, Philadelphia, even into the Trenton area. This is where a few inches of snow is possible at the onset. It's all going to be washed away by the heavy rain that's ultimately going to be taking over around 8 or 9 o'clock, but at least for a couple hours, it could look a little pretty out there. The big concern at the shore is certainly not snow. Temperatures are going to be coming up and be way too warm for any kind of snow. You might see a couple snowflakes at the onset, but it's the wind. We currently have a wind advisory in effect for the entire shoreline, and this is where I think, and I'm quite confident, and I'll show you why in just a moment, that gusts over 60 miles an hour are possible. We're going with this base idea of 45 to 55. I think that's pretty much universal across the entire Delaware Valley, but there will likely be some 60 mile an hour gusts. And if I were to peg one area, it would be South Central Ocean County, as you guys are usually the ones with the highest winds because you stick out into the ocean a little bit more. So between 3 and 5 o'clock, that precipitation moves in from south to north. It'll be snow closer to Philadelphia, all rain for the rest of South Jersey. The worst of the storm comes in between 9 tonight and 2 o'clock in the morning. That's the worst rain, that's the worst wind, and then it starts to wrap up and it's out of here by daybreak tomorrow. Temperatures across the area right now are climbing up from the teens. That's where we were earlier on. 28 in Hamilton, 32 in Mays Landing, 23 in Trenton, 25 in Marlton, 31 in Tuckerton, 22 in Doylestown. So obviously in this area, as the precipitation climbs, it's going to be cold enough for the development of snow in those regions. Wildwoods, Hamilton, Woodstown, these are late day high temperatures coming in many cases tonight. 45 in Atlantic City in the Wildwoods, 35 in Woodstown and Gloucester Township. In fact, at the beaches, there could be a time tonight where you get into the 50s, believe it or not. Freehold 38, Trenton 33, Warminster, Media, Westchester in the lower 30s. Again, in those areas, that's where some accumulating snow is possible. We still have that snow down to our south and west at this hour. It's going to be getting into the southwest sections of South Jersey. And then there's going to be this sliver, the westernmost sections of South Jersey, of Salem, Gloucester, Camden, Burlington County, where it could be snowing for a couple hours at a pretty good clip. But that rain-snow line goes all the way to the north and west, and then we get flooded with areas of very heavy rain. Could pick up over an inch of rain before the system gets out of here. So temperatures will be on the rise overnight into the 40s. I think some of you closer to the coast will ultimately get into the 50s, believe it or not. Let's get back to the wind concern. I think that widespread power outages are possible. We're looking at gusts out of the east-southeast, a base again, 45 to 55 miles an hour with isolated 60 mile an hour gusts possible. The worst between 10 and 2. It's not going to be lasting all night. And of course, we urge you to charge your devices, get the candles, the batteries, all that kind of stuff, just in case. Now, let's talk about the science aspect of this and why we are so confident that the winds are going to be such an issue. So it's cold out there right now. It's still cold in the 20s. It takes a lot of energy to displace that cold and bring in temperatures warm enough for rain. What you're looking at are the winds above our heads at about 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. As of early this afternoon, it's not bad, okay? Light breezes, you might notice the winds pick up about 4 or 5 o'clock. But later on, look at these numbers pick up. Again, this is not at the surface. Don't get freaked out. I'm going to explain how we kind of derive the numbers. 61 miles an hour over Atlantic City, 59 over Allentown, 62 over Philadelphia. All right, still with me? Dover, around 70. This is 8 o'clock. At this time, you're probably getting your gust into the 40 mile an hour range. But as we go later, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, after midnight, look at this, 80 over Atlantic City, near 80 over Philadelphia. But it gets worse. By 1 o'clock, we're looking at potentially 90 mile an hour winds over Atlantic City. So the formula that we use is you take 75 to 80% of that number, and that's what could be translated down to the surface with some heavy precipitation. And that's why I think isolated areas of 60, 65 mile an hour gusts cannot be completely ruled off the table. So prepare accordingly. It doesn't hurt to go that extra step and make sure you're home is prepared for those higher wind gusts coming in. Clouds to start, a snow shower possible tomorrow afternoon. It's still on the windy side. And then going into the rest of your 7-day forecast, we stay rather cold. 1 day above average on Wednesday, and I think we have a couple more opportunities, maybe not showing up on the 7-day yet because the confidence is still on the lower side, but I would say we're going to throw in another chance or two of snow in the next 10 days.